What is going on, guys? I'm James,
And I'm Travis.
and you're watching the Monday Coffee Show. So today we're going to be talking about acknowledging your insecurities and how to get over them, how to deal with them, and just that part of life.
As humans who have complex feelings and relatively simple languages, we have a lot of insecurities and not a lot of great ways to talk about them and communicate them with others. And it's just very human to feel that way, and also just very human to feel frustrated that you can't just make someone else understand how you feel.
Yeah, I feel like that's one thing that kind of, when I was younger, always threw me off because people are like, oh, I totally understand, but it's like people, for one, deal with things different ways, people internalize things differently, and people, I guess, see certain things differently as well. So it's like you can't necessarily say you understand every single aspect of somebody's struggle, so to speak. So
Yeah, and anxiety is something that, and just different insecurities is something I know I've struggled with in a very internal sense that, luckily for the most part, I was able to just kind of brush off because I got a lot of encouragement, which was great. That I was able to do that. So I guess it's not really anxiety as much as small insecurities, but I know my sister, a bunch of my friends really have anxiety issues with full on panic attacks, which I'm very lucky to never have experienced because my understanding is they suck.
yeah, I have anxiety. That's one reason I used to drink so much, because I was like, it eases it. It makes it a lot easier to just be relaxed and not worry about everything. But I've not completely stopped drinking, but I don't drink hard alcohol anymore, and I don't drink in excess. So that's one good thing out of it. But I feel like for me, when I was growing up, my main insecurities were probably, it's may sound weird, but my weight, which is weird. I've never been fat or anything, or heavy or whatever you want to call it. But it's still I've always wanted to be a certain number. I was always focused on that number as opposed to being just healthy and just looking the way I wanted to look. So now I need to lose some weight because I'm working a sedentary job. I'm this is not no. I'm not used to being stationary 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. It's not working. But I feel getting over that, it was more so just growing up and just kind of realizing, first of all, nobody's perfect for the most part, but I kind of just feel weight is trivial. If you're healthy, it's a net in here. If you're healthy and you're happy with yourself, that should be what matters. But I guess I was so focused on what other people would think if I wasn't I was, and like I said, I was never thick or heavy or anything, so I was just looking back, I'm I don't understand why I was never worried about it. Mm-hmm. But I guess it's just either maybe it was media or just being around people who were so superficial. It's I felt I had to be just a little bit less than what I was.
Yeah, for me, it was never weight. For me, any insecurity I had was I was convinced I'm doing something wrong, even if I'm not. Still I struggle just a good amount with imposter syndrome, and it's especially when I'm working on a really big project, if I'm working on a big freelance gig, like a music video or a short, specifically for, if I'm working for myself, I'm not nearly as anxious because I know why everything is what it is. But if something in any way goes wrong or wasn't exactly planned for, and it's someone else's money, oh my gosh, do I start freaking out on the inside, because I'm so worried that they're gonna realize I'm a fraud. I don't know anything about video, even though I have a library of videos that I've produced in very different ways, and a lot of them which I actually think are good, which is so anytime I'm feeling very insecure about myself, I have that art that to look on and go, all right, I'm pretty good. I know what I'm doing. All right, I don't have to feel this way, but it's it doesn't feel. I'm imagining that feeling right now, and it doesn't feel good in my belly.
I mean, another thing that like insecurities tend to bring along are like overanalyzing things and like overthinking things, which is the worst thing ever, which is also a thing that comes with anxiety. So like I could say I'm friends with somebody and I don't hear from them for like a few days. I used to be like, did I say something? Like if we usually talk every day and I don't hear from them for a while, I'm just like, did I say something? Are we not cool anymore? Is there a problem? Whatever. And I'm just like, sometimes people do need their own alone time, and I learned that as an adult, because a lot of times I'm just like, I just don't want to be bothered, so I just kind of stay to myself. I don't check social media sometimes. It's just like sometimes people need me time, and not overanalyzing things definitely can not overanalyzing things can definitely stop a lot of problems, especially like in relationships. Some people overanalyze every little thing, and that's what causes problems in relationships, instead of just trusting whoever you're with and just communicating normally instead of just overthinking every single thing.
Yeah. Communication it definitely helps. I mean, like that's if I've ever had like big fights with my girlfriends, they're rare because we are very good at communicating, but like not all of my romantic partnerships have been that way, which I wasn't necessarily very good at it either, and but I'm certainly worse at the beginning of a relationship where I don't really know this person yet, and I'm like, they haven't responded to the thing. Is it bad? Is it bad? It's bad. I did something. I ruined it. I ruined the whole thing, and then it's nothing. Like, and it's such a terrible feeling because especially when you realize it was nothing, because you're like, why did I get so worked up? Why did I do that? And it's so frustrating. And for me, I try so hard to just like let it go, like just let it roll off me. The metaphor I use a lot of the time is just be a duck. Just let it roll off of you, and it's gonna be fine. Doesn't always work. I've never been someone who's necessarily good at following my own advice.
I mean, another insecurity I used to have is one that I think a lot of people in the LGBT community have, and that's just coming to terms with like your sexuality and who you are. I feel like the main reason was because not even so much of what other people thought, but as far as feeling like you were always a target. So, I was watching something on Twitter where it was this video where like these two gay guys had gotten, I think they were in like, I forgot what state they were in, but they were like at a bar, and as soon as they left, they said like this group of guys like saw them, they were watching them in the club the whole time, and as soon as they left, the guys like chased after them and attacked them. And I'm like, that's probably that like stems from, I guess, just not wanting to be out because it's like you're a target. So it's like some people, that insecurity kind of manifests in a way where it's like you either act as if someone, try it again. That insecurity kind of manifests in a way where you either just completely act as someone that you're not, or you try to like act like, oh no, I'm not gay or I'm not bi, whatever, but it's like you kind of still have this feeling like, oh, I still don't feel right because I'm not being myself. Mm-hmm. So it's like I'm avoiding this thing, but I now have to deal with this thing, like me not being myself. So I feel like that's definitely something that, especially like teens and youth, that's like one of the biggest insecurities. I feel like, even in this day and age where it's somewhat more accepted, but you still have to deal with them getting bullied, whether it's like physical bullying, cyberbullying, and it's just a lot that comes with it that I don't think people from the outside kind of understand.
And just struggling with your entire time as a teenager, you spend like worrying about and trying to find out who am I, mm-hmm. and it's so stressful because you don't know yet. Like you've only just developed a personality very recently, and you have to find out what it is, and that's just something in general. I mean, and that's imagine compounding on top of that, struggling with identities where you feel othered, whether it's being someone who's not a straight hetero white guy, and any diversion from that, there's a cultural thing of trying to figure out who you are in this world, that I didn't have to struggle with in the same way that so many other people have.
As far as like how I got over my insecurities, it's weird because a lot of times people's insecurities come from like the guys that they date, but mine were kind of resolved from a couple of guys that I dated. So it was kind of just like, okay, I don't even know why, but it was just like, okay, if this person that I care about doesn't see anything wrong with me, it's like, why do I see something wrong with myself? Kind of sort of like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like a lot of people, it's the opposite. It's like a lot of times their insecurities stem from their partner telling them like, oh, you need to lose weight, or oh, you're this or you're that. But for me, it was the opposite. Like my insecurities all stem from kind of like self-doubt based on like what I was seeing on the outside. But then, I mean, it was literally like one day I woke up and I just was like, why am I worried about what other people think? Because now, I feel like I'm on like the complete opposite side of the spectrum now, which is also a problem because it's like you either care too much or you just don't give a fuck at all. And I'm kind of like on that side, and I'm like, I might need to care a little bit, not what people think, but as far as how I react to things, because a lot of times my mouth is vicious and I don't think before I say things, and it's like I don't bother anybody, but it's like people see me and they tend to think that, oh, because the outfits and the face and how I act, it's like, don't let that get you fooled.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like I don't think like I'll just let this person think whatever they want to think and let it go. It's just like, nope, I'm going to respond right now, right away.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I know some people, you know, great ways to do that are, you know, if you're very lucky, you can find a way to resolve those insecurities yourself, or, you know, with friends, or, you know, just in your normal course of life. Some folks, you know, need to seek therapy. I know that I've seen a lot of different therapists over the years, and you know, just for my own stuff. And you learn a lot of great things about yourself that way, and a lot of better ways to treat yourself that you don't realize. I didn't realize until a few years ago, I'm really bad at buying stuff. Like, it's something I sort of knew, but I'm really bad about doing nice things for myself. Like, I get a little stressed out. Like, if I buy like a new thing, I get instant buyer's remorse, because I'm like, I don't deserve this. I shouldn't have spent money on this. I shouldn't have done the thing. And it's not a healthy way to be. So it's funny, I was seeing this therapist and she was like, just do something nice for yourself. And I did, and she was like, you know, and just see how you react. And if it's not how you want to be reacting to that, then like, let's find a new thing for you. And I didn't like the way that I reacted. I don't remember what it was I did. I think I just like bought like a new piece of clothing and was like, no, I don't need this. I've got so much clothing. Yeah. I don't. I have like 10 t-shirts and like 3 pairs of shorts.
I'm the complete opposite. I guess, growing up, I was spoiled, so I guess that's why I don't feel like buyer's remorse. I don't want to spend my own money, but that's a different problem. I don't feel like, oh, like I shouldn't have bought it. Like, I've had some big purchases where I'm like, yeah, I could have like paid off student loan with that, but instead I just decided to buy something else. But then I'm like, I get paid next week anyway, so it's fine. Yeah. But overall, I feel like one of the ways that I did deal with insecurities and getting over it was music. That's something I'm very passionate about. There are some songs that I feel connect with some people in different ways. So like a couple songs that worked for me were that song by Pink called like F Perfect. It's a song by JoJo called I Am, and it's a song by a friend of mine named Ashley DuBose called Life Goes On. So like those 3 songs kind of helped me through just a lot of self-doubt and just getting over everything.
Interesting. I was just thinking I struggled a little bit more with this when I was a teen, and I was struggling with a few things, and one of the things that really helped me, this is a little topical, but like I listened to a lot of Linkin Park. Like they'd just been coming out. Their first album had come out when I was just the right age. I was just an angry little teen boy, and they were just giving me exactly what I wanted to hear. It was weird because I remember thinking like, why? Like I was listening to this music and I had like a moment of clarity where I was just like, why? What am I so angry about? And I wasn't really willing to admit it to myself. I went, after Chester Bennington died, I went back and listened to the first album, Hybrid Theory, and knowing a lot more about like knowing just a lot more in like the context of what was going on when I was a teen and the adults in my life, I realized, oh, that's why. Like, and it's interesting because like that can be like such a good way to work through that. Like I had that, and I had film. Like I watched a lot of movies, and just as escaped into these like kind of fantasy worlds, and that was a great way for me to deal with that. And that doesn't necessarily work for everybody. So I encourage you to find whatever it is that makes you feel at peace and makes takes away that anxiety for a bit, with the exception of try not to find it too much in alcohol or substances, because that's just not good for you.
Yeah, trust me now.
But like in a sense of like finding an art or finding an activity or a hobby or something that like you find yourself being feeling good at and being good at, and that can do a lot. That's done a lot for me, especially as an adult.
Yeah, I feel like another thing that like we said, a lot of times just growing up, you're kind of just played with insecurity because you're still kind of finding out who you are. And I feel like especially in the high school phase, I feel like one thing that people would have to high school and college, or even past that, one thing that you have to realize is that 9 times out of 10, for me 10 times out of 10, the people that I'm surrounded by, like in a controlled environment where I don't have a say of who they are, most of the time they don't matter to me anyway. So like people in high school, I have a couple that I speak to here and there. The rest, they don't exist to me. If I were to see them walking on the street, it's just be like, I've never met you before. I don't know you. I don't have any spare change, sorry. But yeah, I mean, I feel like the main thing that you have to do is find what makes you happy and find yourself in that, and surround yourself with people who are similar in terms of people who like uplift you, people who have I guess positive things in their life and who have their own hobbies and things like that. Because when you have that, it's like you're focused on you and your circle. You're not worried about anything outside of that. Mm-hmm. But then when you have people who are negative, it's like they focus on everything outside of themselves and they're just negative about everything. So that kind of reflects back to you. So it's just good to surround yourself with positivity and work on yourself.
Yeah, and if you're a person who needs like actual professional help, please seek it. It helps.
Yeah, that's the problem with minority communities. I can speak for that, trust me. It's a lot of people who know that they have issues that they need to speak about and that they need to get out off of their chest, but they're worried about the stigma of going to therapy and that people think that they're crazy, when therapy is just an unbiased professional opinion to help you get through whatever you're dealing with. So it's like, instead of harboring everything and then making your life worse and then things taking a toll later down the line, just get it off your chest now and move on.
Yeah. And it certainly helps. And hopefully, if this is something you're struggling with, you can find that. I have mostly found that. I still have my moments of real struggle with that. But we're gonna wrap this one up. We hope that you subscribe and come back week after week after week. And until next week, enjoy your coffee.